So this is the last segment of withholding tax that we have, of course, covered partly. We have been able to look at the issues of withholding tax, including the purpose of the return, DT 2006. We have been able to look at the scope of withholding tax, where we have looked at who is the withholding agent. We have seen the persons required to register as withholding agents. We have also looked at the eligibility to register as a withholding agent. We have been able to go through the withholding agent registration procedure. If a client comes to you and they want you to register them as withholding agents, the procedure, and after the person is registered, what are the responsibilities of withholding agents? If there is non-compliance, what are the fines and penalties? We have seen that. We have looked at the withholding modules, discussed that. Withholding tax as a final tax, we've looked at that. We moved into the issues of exemptions. There are those, we say that there are those clients who might be interested in being exempt, who we call the withholding exempt taxpayer. We have looked at the persons who are exempt taxpayers, the eligibility for withholding tax exemption. What are you supposed to comply with to be exempted? The documents you need to have in place to receive that approval of exemption. And then if a client comes to you and they want to apply for withholding tax exemption, what is the procedure? And of course, we were able to appreciate the fact that this comes with benefits, like improved cash flows. Since the tax is not withheld at source, you get all your money as you have invoiced it. So people don't keep on touching into your money. Of course, it also simplifies reconciliations, as we have mentioned. And yeah, it gives you that competitive edge, enhanced reputation as a tax compliant taxpayer. So in this segment, we are going to look at the actual filing of the WHT return. And of course, we are going to use, we are going to use an activity, which is our activity on withholding tax. In this one, we have two people. We have Mlefu Didi. This is his TIN number. And James Golola, that is his TIN number. Now, these guys are consultants with MFT Consults Limited. We have also been given its TIN number. And they are earning 2 million and 5.7 million respectively in professional fees. So you are the tax agent. Yeah, you are the tax agent of MFT Consult Limited. You are required to prepare the withholding tax return for our client MFT for November 2024, and also to advise
Hello.
So MFT is your client and you're required to prepare withholding tax return, and also to advise MFT when the return will be due. So maybe we can start with the return for November, WHT. Of course, we have already discussed that the withholding tax return is a monthly one. Okay, so let us be now specific. When is the deadline for filing this return? If we are doing it for November 2024, when is the deadline? Share with me in the chat before we proceed. Share with me in the chat before we proceed. Okay, 15th of December 2024. It's 15th of December 2024. Perfect. But of course, as a tax agent, it wouldn't be advisable to do it on that very day. You must be smart enough to do it 3 or 5 days before. So ours is 10th of December. Ours as tax agents, 10th of December. Make sure you do it because it is dangerous for you to do it on the 15th. Anything can happen on that day. And we don't want to be bad tax agents or consultants. Okay, so we are going to go ahead. Now, there are other issues that we may need to also put into perspective, including the issue of MFT having the mandate. MFT, please, must have registered as a tax agent, as a withholding tax agent, or withholding agent, for that matter. You don't just, MFT does not just, withhold Mr. Mulefu's money and James Golola's money. No. MFT must be a withholding agent. It must be on their TIN registration. So you need to also check that as MT is inviting you to do the return, cross-check, do the double check and see that MFT is enrolled within the URA system as a withholding agent. The other thing is on maybe the two guys, Mulefu Didi and James Golola. We mentioned that these guys must have issued an invoice. Okay? These two consultants, Mulefu Didi, must have issued an invoice to MFT of 2 million for the consultancy works done for the month of November 2024. Again, James Golola must have issued an invoice to MFT for the consultancy works done for the month of November 2024. It is within the law, okay, within the tax law. Others usually ask, I thought there is a contract, a consultancy contract signed between Mulefu and James Golola. Why do we have to go back into the invoicing? Yes, these consultants are consultants. They are not full-time employees. So you may find that there is a month they did not actually do the work, okay? Or they did not really meet the deliverables for which they are hired as consultants. So an invoice will give assurance that work was done and the deliverables were met, and therefore payment was supposed to be made. So MFT will have to pay against the invoice of Mulefu Didi and James Gola. The other thing we need to put into perspective is the issue of MFT issuing tax credit certificates, the receipt. MFT must ensure that they issue Mlefu Didi and James Gola a receipt of the taxes withheld. So as a tax agent, go back to October and see whether they were issued their tax certificate. You know, the receipt in tax, we call it a tax, certificate. July. What about August? Is it being done? So those are some of the things you're going to check as you're taking on these clients. They are small things, but they make a very big difference. They will really show that we are now dealing with a tax agent who knows what they are doing. But if you just, don't bring that one out and you continue doing things the way they were being done, then there's going to be a problem. People will wonder whether you are a true consultant in tax. So with that, we now move to our return. I know that everybody here, all the participants present, know how to download a return from the URA portal. So we won't go into the process of downloading, but ideally you would go to the URA portal and download yourself this return. There are some instructions here. Please make sure that you enter the TIN of the deductees in Schedule 1, Column 1, such that the credit can be posted to their income tax account, and also enable them self-generate. You see that? Self-generate a tax credit certificate, which is the receipt. Self-generate. So you can issue, they can self-generate. Now it means that if you don't see this notification on your account, either MFT is not including your TIN in Schedule 1, or they are actually not remitting this WHT, and it will be to your disadvantage. So we input the return details, put the TIN number of MFT, the return period from date, and the return period to date. When that is done, you go to section B to C, check whether the return type under section B, filing status, is under original. If you are doing an amended return, then you select amended from the drop-down menu. Section C, the summary sheet, is auto-populated. There's nothing much you can do here, but you can still cross-check and see whether these are the figures that match what you have posted or furnished. Schedule 1 is the schedule for details of the tax deducted. Under this schedule, go ahead and furnish the TIN of the deductees or your consultants. And here we have Mlefu Didi and James Golola. We have the tax identification numbers. And this is our column 1. Then column 2, the name, include the proper name. Column 3, input the gross amount paid or payable. That is our column number 3. So we have picked the 2 million and the 5.7 million. Then date of payment. Of course, as practice, these guys usually get their money at the end of the month. So the payment is due 30th of November 2023 or 30th of, or it can even be after this, depending on when the invoice comes in from these guys. Then go ahead in column number 5 to indicate the nature of the payment by invoice, the nature of the payment. So what are you paying for? This is the list I was talking about. That's here as a tax agent, tax consultant, it is important that you interest yourself when it comes to this list, the items on this list. So we are going to go through so that we see exactly what you expect to come here. So agricultural supplies, betting, bank interest, bonds and interest group loans, commission on airtime comes here, commission on mobile money will come here, capital gains on tax purchase, capital gains tax on purchase of commercial buildings from non-residents. You need to put it here. This one, I think it's even less discussed. If you buy a commercial building from a non-resident person, you need to calculate the capital gains. Shall be talking about capital gains ahead. Commissions to advertising agent, commission to insurance agent, dividends, foreign transactions, including management fees, shipping, telecommunication, internet. It's a lot of stuff. So as a tax consultant, it is important that you really check. Yeah, you check and know local agency fees for Islamic financial business, local. Now, for us, it is local management fees and professional fees. This one is the item for consultants, those providing management support, professional fees. So you use this. Now, when you do that under column number 5, the tax rate will auto populate. It is auto populated here because it is attached to the transaction. System has been built to recognize that this transaction, this is the WHT rate. So if you keep on changing them, they'll keep on changing as well. So when you're done with that, tax rate is in column number 6. In column number 7, the return will auto-calculate the tax deducted, and then tax remitted to URA in column number 8, and the balance. Now in column number 8, you might find that these guys were maybe paid in the middle of the month some money, and the tax was withheld and paid. So if you find that out of this 120,000, you have actually paid maybe 80,000 to URA in advance, you need to include it here, okay, in column number 8, so that the balance is auto-calculated in column number 9. But for our case, we don't have any such payment. And if that happens, you need to give the details of that 80,000. Where did you pay? How did you withhold? So here in schedule number 2, you give the details of the payment of any tax to Uganda Revenue Authority in regard to the withholding tax done the other side. So here you have the withholding tax collected, amount of tax deposited. Okay, so now like we're saying, okay, it was 120. It was 120, but out of that, you paid 80. On check number this, you give the PRN number, the payment date, and the bank where that payment was made. When everything is in place, before the README, this very schedule number 2, you validate your return. If there are no errors, like in our case here, you'll be prompted to generate an upload file, which you're going to push into the URA system. Of course, I've showed you how to push all these upload files. Simply log in, go to e-services, go to return, select WHT, and then push this upload file, which ideally must be saved on your computer. So basically, that is how we handle withholding tax return.